Well, Brooke, some things are worth arguing about. Some things are worth the debate. Sometimes they're not things we should be arguing about. Sometimes we just should let them go. But have you had any arguments recently, and how did it turn out?
Are you talking good? Yeah. Are you talking healthy arguments that needed to be had?
Well, have you got any good examples or things you've learnt from since?
Look, I don't think I do arguments well. That's what I would say. I think I become very emotional, and if I'm really not careful, I can end up just coming away from it feeling like I've totally wronged myself and the other person, just simply by not going the good path.
Yep. Or you normally don't feel great at the end of an argument.
That is probably actually the good wrap up, yes. Don't feel great after an argument, no.
But if there is something that's worth arguing about, then often it's something we have to be willing to go into. But going in not just recklessly
Yes.
into those debates, but to have an end in mind and to have sort of the awareness, I think, as well of yourself in it.
I think actually I'm sort of discovering I think I have a very negative connotation. When I hear the word argument, I immediately go to that's a bad way for me to go. I like the fact that you're using the word debate, or some people would say a discussion, or a bit of a conversation or a negotiation around things. Those all seem to me like words that just have more hope in them than arguing. Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. And conflict's another one.
Yeah,
Conflict can go either way.
Yeah.
With what you think, but whenever you have relationship, it's inevitable.
Different opinions.
We were talking about our family situations before, and those conflicts that we experience in them,
particularly as parents.
And coming through them in a better place.
Yeah.
No one's telling you did well there. That worked out well. You handled that very well. It's often, you're feeling like, where is this going?
Yes, I agree.
And often unresolved conflicts.
Yes.
In those sort of long-term relationships is ongoing.
Yes.
But let's dig into this topic a little bit further. The topic of conflict and debate with issues that matter. Well, talking about not reaching a consensus, there's many important issues out there in society. Like, what should we do to care for our environment and climate change? And what about asylum seekers? How should we look after them while protecting our borders? Many big issues that are always being debated. We never quite seem to come to a clear answer. Why do you think that is, Brooke?
Very good question, Tom. I think it's probably a lot to do with the fact that we all have very different opinions and different understanding levels of what would be a good thing. And unfortunately, sometimes with those bigger things, and people hesitate and second guess, and so they're not really keen to commit to something, especially if it has a long timeline. They kind of feel like, if I give all this to this, then maybe we've gone the wrong road, and so people are always hedging, I think, with those sorts of big kind of
no
questions.
one's ever quite sure.
Yeah, and
you often make mistakes when you think this is the way we should go, this is our definite path.
Yep, and we don't really like to ever get to the point where we are truly found out for being wrong about something, do we? Like,
no.
We kind of,
Yep, we'd prefer to keep it in the debate, the talking about it phase.
Maybe, yeah.
Rather than actually actioning something.
Yeah, when often a little bit is better than nothing.
Yeah, that's right. The little steps rather than the big, this is what we're going to do, let's change everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't think there is a clear answer. Nothing is going to be the perfect solution.
Yeah.
But I think in our fast-paced way of life, we never quite have those Well, we usually don't have those spaces where we can really sit down and give these topics the attention they deserve, particularly as people that are focused on other day-to-day things.
Yeah. I think too, just, in that with different opinions, I think sometimes we're also trying to protect ourselves when we're actually having these discussions too, like making sure that our interests are kind of served.
Yeah.
I think that can be a bit of an issue too with some of, for example, the environment issue. We do see more and more as the research is coming out into, ways that we could move forward. There are some players who could actually take some responsibility and do some very good things. We as individuals can do a lot, but there are actually some bigger people that maybe.
Yeah.
So, but we do want to protect our interests because that's human nature, isn't it?
Yep. The complex web of relationships, different tensions, and truth is found somewhere in the tension between this side and this side.
Yeah.
Never, if it's all working out too easily, maybe there's something fishy going on.
Yes. It's like when my negotiation class in university once, they sort of said, you know what, if you walk away thinking from a negotiation table, if you walk away thinking, oh, I got exactly what I want, you'll actually walk away a little unsatisfied because you're thinking, oh, maybe I should have actually asked for a bit more. So there is this very real area of research into negotiation, which is there has to be mutual give and take for both parties to walk away feeling like, yeah, okay, we both have, received what we wanted out of that, or close enough.
Yeah. I love the proverb that says the first person that speaks always sounds right.
Yeah.
Until you hear the other side.
Yeah.
So, complex question.
Yeah.
With the big issues book, I think it's so important that we decide together.
Yeah.
Rather than one person sort of in that power position saying, this is what we need to do.
Yes.
To get the fullest understanding of a situation, you need to discuss it. You need to listen to all the points of view because everyone sees a different aspect. Have you had experiences where you've had to work through an issue as a community?
As a community, if we take it to the smaller scale, family, family is a big one. We're always constantly needing to listen to each other's needs and even just understanding what's on someone's plate if they're needing extra patience or whatever. Those are kind of the silent discussions that you have where you kind of just acknowledge, oh, they've had a big week or there's something going on for them. So, you go a bit gentler.
Yeah.
But yeah, it takes an effort, I think, to really decide to ask the right questions, perhaps, to be able to get some information without feeling like you're already going into a conflict space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good point. It's got to be within community that our understanding of the world is shaped.
Yep.
That we can't just read something on the internet and expect to have a full knowledge of the topic.
Yeah.
I find, even in learning situations, it's not just the presentation of the educator. It's within the discussion groups that I think most of the understanding in the group comes.
Yeah.
Which you just see in the classroom book.
Yeah, and I have seen a few videos on YouTube which actually talk about how to search in Google so that you don't actually just get weighted answers in your favour. Like if you say, is such and such bad for me? The reality is that Google is going to pop up all of the answers that will confirm your suspicion.
You want to click on.
Yeah, so it's actually a bit of a dangerous place to do research, really, because we find it really hard to ask those questions that aren't weighted.
Yes. Yeah. And if we've got all these online sources of quick information, and we've got the quick form of community of social media, but you never really get the sort of listening and the deep conversation in those spaces. To get an understanding of different perspectives, you need to really take time with people.
Yeah, for sure. And seeing people living out a certain way helps you to understand, if there is bias there. It's very hard to pick up bias just from a text.
Yep.
You've got to be around.
Even just before, we were talking about different words we'd use.
Yes.
And you said, well, that word has a certain connotation. That it means more to different people. So we test truth, bounce it off each other.
Yeah.
So information and understanding needs to be neutral.
Yes.
We should ask ourselves, who's not being included in this conversation? Where are the power imbalances? And I guess sometimes it's necessary as parents. You might need to sort things out between you, but I know that if you make a decision as a parent on your own, sometimes that can work out badly if you haven't discussed it with the other parent.
I always feel much better when I know that I'm in a situation with my husband when we're guiding our children. He brings such an incredible, peaceful kind of approach, and I can often get far too emotional. He sees a much more long-term kind of view, and I see a very short, immediate kind of thing. So when we're actually doing it as a team, it is far and away better than when I try to do it on my own at times. But I mean, so that is when life is real sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have one of those moments that happen when it's just you at home with your children, and it's like, oh, hello.
Yeah, so who needs to be involved in the conversation? That's a good question to ask. But here at Haven, we want to take church beyond just the Sunday morning where we might hear a sermon, to being that place where you can have the conversation, present your points of view, to hear other points of view, and sort of to weigh things up together. So if that interests you, please check out the description for ways you can do that. But look forward to continuing the conversation with you through the week. Social media is one option in the comments, but otherwise a Zoom call, a really great place to have conversations. See that Tuesday night, and really would be great to see you there. Thanks, Brooke.
Thanks, Tom.